Ekaya no ayam bhikkhu mego satana visuddhiya. Soka Bridevana Samatikamaya Dukha Domanasana Atingamaya Nyayasa Adigamaya Nibbānasa Sichikiriyaya Nyayasa Adigamaya. This is the only path to reach the noble path. The noble path means the type of consciousness that appear at the moment of realization when meditator realize the truth, when he or she realize Nibbāna, there arises in them a type of consciousness that is called path consciousness. It is called path consciousness because when you have reached this stage of consciousness, you can be certain to reach Nibbāna on this path. This path will surely lead you. It surely will lead there. There are 4 stages of realization, and so there are 4 types of path consciousness. Each path consciousness eradicates some mental defilements completely, so that after reaching the 4th path consciousness, Aratta Megajita, all of them are altogether eradicated. The mental defilements eradicated by path consciousness will not return to you. For reaching the noble path, for attaining this type of consciousness that can eradicate the mental defilements altogether, Satipatthana Vipassana meditation is the only way. Nibbānasa Sijikiriyaya. This is the only way for the realizations of Nibbāna. We can say that reaching the noble path means reaching the state of path consciousness, and realizing Nibbāna means reaching the state of fruition consciousness. Immediately after the path consciousness, the fruition consciousness comes. Both the path consciousness and fruition consciousness take Nibbāna as their object. They both perceive Nibbāna directly. Either of these 2 moments can be called moments of realizing Nibbāna. So Buddha said, this is the only way to purify your mind, to overcome sorrow and lamentation, to overcome pain and grief, to reach the noble path, and to realize Nibbāna. And what is this only way? The only way is none other than the way of the four foundations of mindfulness. You are practicing contemplating the body, contemplating the feeling, contemplating the consciousness, and contemplating the Dhamma. So according to Buddhism, enlightenment is the realizations of the Four Noble Truths and the eradications of mental defilements. So at least there must be two things with enlightenment. A meditator who gains enlightenment penetrates the Four Noble Truths. That means you understand the Four Noble Truths through self-experience. And at the same time, you are able to get rid of mental defilements. So first, a person practice vipassana meditation. At the successful end of his or her vipassana meditation, he or she gains enlightenment. So following the moments of vipassana meditation, Megacita arises and it takes Nibbāna as object and it eradicates mental defilements. From that time on, that person is called enlightened person. So during the moments of vipassana, the minds of a yogi is on mind and metta, or they are called the five aggregates of clinging or miscellaneous formation, upadana khandha. Those are the moments of vipassana meditation. So yogi have to be patient to pass by these stages, observing the mind and metta thoroughly. The moments of vipassana meditation have to be patient. And when vipassana meditation becomes mature and meditator gains enlightenment, then his or her mind plunge into the cessations of the streams of Namarupa, mind and metta. At that moment, his or her mind takes the cessations of streams of mind and metta or Nibbāna as the object. So meditator's mind, as it were, falls into that object. That moment is what we call the moments of enlightenment. At the moments of enlightenment, the streams of vipassana has ceased. The consciousness that arises at the moments of enlightenment is path consciousness. At the moments of path consciousness, there is no vipassana consciousness. Since there is no vipassana consciousness, there are no objects of vipassana at that time for that yogi. So for the yogi, both vipassana and its object have disappeared. Instead, there is path consciousness, and that path consciousness takes Nibbāna as object. So a meditator who has practiced in a correct way, that means you need to observe every phenomena occurring at the six senses or every upadana khanda. And so by wisdom, you reach into the cessations of mind and matter. So yogi who has practiced correctly, so you have to practice vipassana meditation in a correct way. And as a result of that correct way, the yogi's mind reach into the cessations of mind and matter by way of vipassana insight knowledge. And we must understand that there can be no enlightenment without vipassana. So it is said that path consciousness arises immediately after the consciousness called change of lineage. And the change of lineage consciousness arises immediately after 3 or 4 moments of vipassana consciousness. So if there is no vipassana consciousness, there can be no path consciousness or there can be no enlightenment. And also enlightenment, Nibbāna, in the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, Buddha said, Yotassa yevatanaya asisa viraga nirodo chago patinisago mukti analayo. It is the forsaking, the abandonment of that craving, and liberation and detachment from that craving. When meditator is said to have eradicated craving, he or she is said to be free from craving. He is said to be liberated from craving. Actually, he is not liberated from craving, but he is liberated from the results of craving, which are rebirths in this samsara. So this is the noble truth of cessations of dukkha, suffering. And in one discourse, Buddha said, all the four noble truths can be found in this fathom long body. This means the cessations of craving or cessations of suffering can be seen in your own self. That is because craving is ours. Craving is our own properties. And when craving is destroyed, or when craving is removed, that means we remove the craving which is in us. So Buddha said, or Buddha proclaimed, that all four noble truths can be found in this body. Actually, according to Abhidhamma, Nibbāna is an external state. That external state, people who gain enlightenment take as object. So realizations of Nibbāna is within beings, but Nibbāna itself is actually outside. So Nibbāna is just the cessations of suffering. Nibbāna is cessations of all conditioned phenomena. When there is no more arising of conditioned phenomena, when there is no more rebirths, Mahasatipatthana is said to have achieved Nibbāna. He realized Nibbāna. There are many people who think that Nibbāna is something like a realm or a place, or Nibbāna is an existence that he or she will reach after death, or something like that. Here we must understand, Nibbāna is described as just the cessations of suffering. So the cessations of suffering, the extinctions of suffering, the extinctions of the five aggregates of clinging, Upadana Khanda, is called Nibbāna. And as you may have heard, there are two kinds of Nibbāna, Sa-upadisesa Nibbāna and Anupadisesa Nibbāna. The first Nibbāna is experience while one is living. The second Nibbāna is Nibbāna becomes evident at the death of Buddha or an Arahant. Two kinds of Nibbāna. Can you follow me? Two kinds of Nibbāna. Sa-upadisesa Nibbāna, Anupadisesa Nibbāna. Sa-upadisesa Nibbāna, Nibbāna, which is experienced while one is living. Nibbāna, which is experienced while one is living. Anupadisesa Nibbāna, Nibbāna which becomes evident at the death of Buddha or Arahant. Anupadisesa Nibbāna, Nibbāna which becomes evident at the death of a Buddha or an Arahant. So two kinds of Nibbāna. The first kind of Nibbāna is Sa-upadisesa Nibbāna. It is actually cessation of craving. When you reach the fourth stage of enlightenment and you realize Nibbāna, you eradicate the mental defilements, including craving. The removal of mental defilements or the abandonment of mental defilements or the cessations of these mental defilements is called Nibbāna in this life. This can be realized in this life. This can be realized by those meditators who attain enlightenment. It is the first Nibbāna, Nibbāna in this life. The second one Nibbāna is called Anupadisesa Nibbāna at the death of an Arahant. That means Arahant who has eradicated all mental defilements still has this body, he still has this mind and body, because this mind and body are the results of his karma in the past. So these results still remain with him. When Buddha or Arahant dies, these resultant aggregates disappear. So in the Yadana Sutta, Buddha said, Kinam Purana Navanati Dambavo, Virata Jita Yadike Boasame, Te Kina Bija, Willonis Chanda, Nibbandi Dira Yatayam Badibo. Nibbandi Dira Yatayam Badibo. Just as the flames goes out, these Arahant disappear. At the moment of death, the five aggregates that are called remaining, because they are the ones remaining from the past, remaining past mental defilements, also disappear. That is called Nibbāna at the death of Buddha and Arahants. So there are two kinds of Nibbāna. It is more interesting in the first kinds of Nibbāna. We can realize Nibbāna in this life if we try. If we really have enough perfection, if we really have enough paramis, if we make effort to reach this stage, we can realize Nibbāna in this life. So it is more attractive. This Nibbāna in this life, this Nibbāna is more attractive than the other Nibbāna. The other Nibbāna, after the death of Arahants, we don't know. But the first Nibbāna, Nibbāna in this life, is freedom from mental defilements. You can see that is a good state. If you are really free from mental defilements, you have no mental defilements, you have no worry, no anxiety, no depression, you are not attached to anything, you do not get angry, although there is provocation, you are not moved by the ups and downs of life, you are enjoying Nibbāna. Momentary Nibbāna, momentary cessation of suffering you enjoy during this retreat, but it is not enough. The kinds of momentary Nibbāna need to be accumulated more and more to be full. So that is a state we should all try to reach, if possible, in this very life. And if not, if it may take 2 or 3 more lives, because parami has to be accumulated. Sometimes not one life is enough. 2 lives, 3 lives need to be accumulated. So that Nibbāna is more attractive than what will happen after the death of an Arahant. So towards this goal, the extensions of our mental defilements, we should direct our effort. That is Satipatthana Vipassana meditation. So when we read the discourses and when we read the stories, especially in the commentaries, we repeatedly come across description of those who gain enlightenment immediately after the discourse or at the end of the discourse. And at the end of the first sermon, Venerable Kundinya has become a Sotapanna. He became enlightened. He didn't seem to have practiced anything at all. He listened to the Dharma, and then he is said to have gained enlightenment. There are many other discourses, especially in the Dhammavada, where it is mentioned that such and such people became Sotapanna, some became Arahants. At the end of the discourse. So there seemed to be instant enlightenment. So when we read the discourses and others, we may think that these people gain enlightenment, did not have to practice vipassana at all. But that is not true, because every enlightenment must be preceded by vipassana. So those people went through the stages of vipassana one by one, maybe while listening to the Dhamma. They went through these stages so fast that they seem to have obtained enlightenment instantly without the practice of vipassana meditation. But without vipassana meditation, there can be no enlightenment. Those people who are described as gaining enlightenment at the end of the discourse were people who had accumulated paramis in their previous life. So we need to fulfill our parami. Our parami not enough yet. But those people were mature enough to gain enlightenment when Buddha taught them. So they were like the lotus flowers that were waiting for the sun to come up so that they can open up, so that they can bloom. Such people who have the accumulated experience through previous lives were able to gain enlightenment almost instantly. From the moment past consciousness onward, a meditator is called a noble person, Arya. Since he has become a noble person, his moral conduct is very pure. So a person who has reached enlightenment, even the lowest stage of enlightenment, has very pure moral conduct. He will keep the five precepts intact. He will never break any one of the five precepts. Nowadays, there are people who claim to be enlightened. When somebody claims to be enlightened, we do not know whether he or she is truly enlightened or not, but we can judge from his or her moral conduct. If he or she keeps the five precepts intact, if he or she doesn't kill living beings and so on, then it is likely that he or she may be enlightened. And also there are persons who think they are enlightened. They have practiced meditation and they may have experienced something they did not experience before. Then they may think honestly, sincerely that they are enlightened. Such person can also judge themselves by asking themselves, do I break any of the precepts? What do I do when there are insects in my home or mice in my house? So an enlightened person keeps his or her moral conduct pure, and he or she will never break any one of the five precepts. There were many lay people during the time of the Buddha who gained enlightenment and who became noble person. There was a young man called Yasa that came to the Buddha after he gave his Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. Yasa met the Buddha and the Buddha talked to him and then he became enlightened. And King Bimbisara became enlightened. So the king continued to be a king and rule over his kingdom. And he was a Sotapanna. Also there was a Benga Anattapenika who had the Jetavana monastery built and offered it to the Sangha. And also there was a male lay devotee called Visakha. He also became enlightened as a lay person. So there were other people like Chaita, Nakulapita, Mahanama, and also the physician Jivaka. They were all lay people and they were all enlightened person. They continued to be lay people after their enlightenment and they die as lay people. So you understand that enlightenment is not for monks, but actually for anybody who cares to practice vipassana meditation. When monk not practice, he will not be enlightened. When lay people practice, they will be enlightened. And enlightenment is not for men only. The Buddha foster mother, whose name was Gautami, she wanted to become a nun, and Buddha did not allow her to be a nun. So Gautami could not get permission from the Buddha. When she asked Buddha 3 times, she put on robes of a nun with 500 section princes. And then they went to the Buddha to ask permission. But Gautami and 500 nuns, they had not approached the Buddha, so they were outside the monastery. They were weary from their journey and so on. Then the Venerable Ananda met them outside the monastery and asked why they had come. And Gautami told him why they were there. When Gautami told him, Ananda went to the Buddha and on their behalf asked permission from the Buddha. And Ananda said, Bhante, please allow them to become nuns. But Buddha refused 3 times. Then Venerable Ananda asked, Bhante, a woman having gone forth, that means a woman after becoming a nun, can she gain enlightenment? Can she become a Sotapanna? Can she become a once returner, Sakadagami? Can she become a non-returner or can she become an Arahant? That means if a woman enters the order of the Buddha, after joining the order of the Buddha, can she become enlightened? Then Buddha said, yes. Women are capable of gaining enlightenment after they join the holy order. So this answer given by the Buddha shows that enlightenment is for everybody, not for men only, just as not all men are capable of gaining enlightenment, not all women are capable of gaining enlightenment. But there are many women who are capable of gaining enlightenment. During the time of the Buddha, there were many women who became enlightened. According to this answer given by the Buddha to Ananda, we know that women are as capable as men are to gain enlightenment. So being a woman is not a disadvantage as far as gaining enlightenment is concerned. So during the time of the Buddha, there were many prominent ladies who gained enlightenment. Some ladies remained as lay person until the end of their lives, did not ordain. Many others joined the order and becomes nuns. Among them, the most well-known was the lay devotees Visakha. Visakha became a Sotapanna at the age of 7. Then she remained as a Sotapanna until her death. She lived to be 120 years. Gautami, Buddha's foster mother, became enlightened. And Yasodhaya, Prince Siddhartha's wife, became enlightened. Upalawana, Khema, Bhattacharya, and there are many prominent ladies who became enlightened, who became arahants. Many of them joined the order. You can read about them in the book called Therigatha. This book is translated into English. Therigatha, the sum of the sisters. And there was a question, does an enlightened person know that he is enlightened? Enlightenment is a self-experience. That means it is to be experienced by oneself. So a person who has attained enlightenment really means that he has attained it. Also, immediately after the enlightenment thought process, there follows some thought process by which an enlightened person review the path, the fruition, Nibbāna, and the defilements that are eradicated, and the defilements that are remaining. Every person who has gained enlightenment reviews at least the first three, the path, the fruition, and Nibbāna. Every person who has gained enlightenment have to review. Regarding the defilements that are eradicated and defilements that are still to be eradicated. The meditator may or may not review. So every enlightened person review the three, the path, fruition, and Nibbāna. So a person who gain enlightenment really knows that he or she has attained enlightenment. But if that person has no knowledge of the Dhamma, if that person have no knowledge of the Buddha teaching, then he or she may not know that what he or she has attained is called enlightenment. He or she may not know. And you come to this place, so you have a personal experience of this place, but you may not know the name of the place. So a person who has attained enlightenment may not know this is enlightenment or it is called enlightenment, but he or she has experienced it himself or herself. So he or she has reached this stage himself or herself, and so he knows that it is something that he has attained. Now, Buddha was the first person who became enlightened. Then Buddha taught other beings, and the other beings also became enlightened. Those who gain enlightenment following the teaching of the Buddha are called savakas or disciple. Now the enlightenment of the Buddha and the enlightenment of the disciple are they the same or are they different? We must say the enlightenment of Buddha and the enlightenment of the disciple are different. Enlightenment of the Buddha is accompanied by some types of knowledge that are peculiar to Buddhas only. As soon as Buddha became enlightened, he also gained Sabhinyutanyana, omniscience. Buddha also gained what is called Mahakaruna, the great compassion. And there are other kinds of wisdom or knowledge that he gained. Those knowledge are not shared by his disciple. So in this sense, the enlightenment of the Buddhas is different from the enlightenment of disciple. And a disciple may become enlightened, but he will not gain along with enlightenment, omniscience, great compassion, etc. Also, with regard to eradicating mental defilements, there is little difference. Buddha eradicate mental defilements altogether, and the Arahants or disciple eradicate mental defilements altogether, but there is a difference. I hope that you already know the difference. When the Buddhas eradicate mental defilements, their eradication is total without any vasana. However, when disciple or arahants eradicate mental defilements, they are unable to get rid of that Vasana, although they have eradicated all mental defilements. There is a difference between the eradications of mental defilements by the Buddhas and by the disciple. The word vasana is a difficult word to translate. It is often translated as residue or a trace, simply habit. I don't know whether that is correct or not. Vasana is described as a certain power dependent upon mental defilements. So vasana is not a mental defilement, but some power of these mental defilements. Through that power, a person who has eradicated all mental defilements may still have some behavior which is similar to the behavior of those who have not eradicated mental defilements. That is what we call vasana. That vasana, the disciple of the Buddha are unable to get rid of. So we may continue tomorrow. We stop our discourse for today by practicing vipassana meditation, by developing four foundations of mindfulness, contemplations of the body, contemplations of feeling, contemplations of consciousness, and contemplations of Dhamma. May all yogis be liberated from all suffering. May all yogis realize the real peace in the very near future.